Years ago, my co-host and I covered Game of Thrones and in pretty hefty detail. We did both write rewrites for Game of Thrones, which you can see on our podcast. The link is in the bio. Or you can actually download mine for free at ridiculouspatronus.blogspot.com, our blog website. I thought I'd read you guys a little bit of it just because it was pretty popular on the podcast. So I thought it'd be fun just to take a look at. As you can see, it's pretty detailed, so it goes into all the prophecies that weren't answered or were technically answered in their own way, possibly. Like, for instance, a thought I had on the show a couple of years ago was that possibly Game of Thrones, the show, the way they answered Melisandre's prophecy for Arya, I thought maybe the way they answered that was Walder Frey and then Peter Baelish. If you look in the show, the actor might have green eyes, and then the Night King. But in Josh and I's opinion, it should have been Cersei with the green eyes, but I mean, to each their own. So in this rewrite, you'll see things are a little bit different. So I thought I'd showcase it just because it's kind of fun to look at. Also, I'll put a clip up of Josh's just so you can see kind of an idea on what his was. But as you can see, it's rewritten starting with season 7, about midway through season 7, and then it goes into season 8, which I labeled as the Sack of King's Landing and the Long Night. And then season 9, it goes into Daenerys' rise of power and what was west of Westeros if Arya ever went out that way. And then season 10 would be set up as the Siege of Winterfell, and I put Death Has Many Faceless because it goes more into Arya learning more about the Faceless Men, which I thought was pretty cool. So I wrote it as if they didn't shorten the show to 8 seasons, and if they took their time. As you can see, it does feature High Valyrian, Low Valyrian, and Dothraki in this rewrite, so it is pretty detailed. I'm not going to read the different languages, but I'll just read what's in English for a couple of clips here. This scene here is actually from the season 8 rewrite. In English, Sir Beric and Melisandre recite another chant at the same time. Sir Beric and Melisandre. Stars bleed and cold breath falls heavy on this world. A warrior shall bring the dawn, who shall be Azor Ahai, and darkness shall flee before him. Your heroes shall be born amidst salt and smoke. Lord of light, protect us in this hour, for the night is dark and full of terrors. The fire on the tree spread. Melisandre's hand begins to burn. Dawn turns from white to dark red. Melisandre, dawn, its light bringer. Melisandre kneels down and whispers in Jon's ear. You have traveled east from the west, stepped back from the front, passed on and now passed through a dark shadow. Now hold on to the light. Melisandre grabs Jon's hand and places the handle of dawn in his grasp. Lightbringer is born, burning dark red. It does not burn Jon Snow's body. The group looks intently at the ritual. Lightbringer begins to glow red in Jon's hand. It is yours now, Jon Snow. Melisandre approaches Sir Beric and they stand together watching Jon Snow. Rain pelts the group and feels like glass. Cold breath is seen amongst the group. Smoke and flame rise from the trees above. Dawn stays bright, red gripped in Jon's hand. Nothing. There's a long pause and still nothing. In desperation, the group waits, eyes locked on Jon and nothing. Jon's hand grips around Lightbringer as Arya and Sansa begin to turn away, their eyes from Jon's body. Jon Snow's eyes open. He looks around at the audience. His eyes are red, similar to the violet eyes of a Targaryen, but more alert and intense. Jon's eyes change with the color of Lightbringer. Jon Snow takes a deep breath and sits up. Melisandre stands over him. Welcome to this world, Azor Ahai. This is a scene during the sack of King's Landing. Bronn. She pays better. Bronn hands Cersei the bottle of poison Arya handed her previously. Cersei Lannister. Cersei begins to drool blood from her lip, and she crawls backwards against the Red Keep's walls. Arya walks over to Cersei. Cersei moans, grunts on the ground. Arya Stark. I was there the day Ilyn Payne ended my father on the block. An eye for an eye, I guess. Cersei looks at Ilyn Payne dead next to her on his stomach. Arya keeps her eyes deadlocked on Cersei, struggling to breathe. Arya Stark. I was there. I wasn't there, though, the day you took arms against my brother. No, I wasn't. I wasn't there when you betrayed my entire house and made a pact with House of Frey. Spineless sheep. But I was their faces. I saw their faces spit poison on their own floor. Their deceitful mouths drank every last drop of it. I was there when Walder's throat bled dry and his sins were repaid. I was there just like I am here now, watching you spit from your very mouth the deceit and sin that makes up your entire house. Well, now you will wish you were cut down in front of your own people. Death is only the beginning. You will remember as you die all the screams of your city. You wouldn't want you wasting your breath. You have plenty of those to listen to before you die. Just listen to your own people in your own city. Arya takes the cat's paw dagger and wipes the blade. She nods to Bronn. Bronn drags Cersei across the Red Keep and chains her up to the skull of Balerion the Dread. Arya grabs Cersei's hand and rubs it against Balerion's skull. Arya, try to feel your way around. Maybe that will help you. Try to forget your past. Try to forget about everything. Arya Stark rubs the blade of the cat's paw across Cersei Lannister's wrist and cuts an artery. Arya, it will be a couple of days before you bleed out. Until then, think about nothing. Embrace who you are and what you are worth. Nothing. Embrace becoming no one. Feel your way around. I want you to feel the teeth. I want you to feel the creature that now owns your entire kingdom. I want you to feel what a dragon feels like. This way, when you pass into oblivion, you will feel what it's like to hold on to a dragon. You're in the world of a dragon now. You will remember. Arya whispers in Cersei's ear. The North remembers. It goes into a lot of Daenerys getting more allies to expand her conquest. And it goes into Arya learning more about the Faceless Men. Where, for instance, here, Jaqen mentions the Great Lion or the Lion of Night, some refer to it, brings scourge to all the wicked, the disobedient and unreliable are scorned for eternity. So it's a scene I'll share with you, which is a pretty cool scene. You don't have to agree with it. In this rewrite, the way I had it is it involved Jon and Daenerys at some point did have a child who they named Jon after Jon Snow, and he does have the characteristics though of Dany. So he has the violet eyes. While in this rewrite, Daenerys does wind up passing away, and word spreads that Daenerys had a son, which was Jon, named after Jon Snow. And this is towards the end, and after Dany's death, Targaryen. Jon gives a speech about his mother's accomplishments and how much she loved her people. He tears up, his violet eyes pour water out of sadness. Puts his hand on Daenerys' hand. Cries echo throughout the ceremony. Jon places Daenerys' gold crown, studded with rubies, on her head. It reflects in the sunlight. Drogon roars and cries. Drogon flies off his shadow, overtakes King's Landing just like Bran's vision. Arya stops crying. Her hand sparks white flame and burns. Lightbringer flows white and then turns bright red on Jon Targaryen's belt. His hand shakes and burns while he holds Daenerys' body's hands. Jon's hands begin burning red hot. Jon peers at Daenerys' corpse from her gold ruby crown, past her blonde hair and down her closed eyes. Daenerys' eyes open, and Jon gazes speechless as his violet eyes remain locked onto her red eyes. This actually involves the theory that Dany died, Drogon took her to Volantis, where the Red Priestess, besides Melisandre. If you had a Game of Thrones rewrite, I'd love to hear about it. If you'd like to know more about Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, or other fantasy franchises, subscribe to Chase and Josh Factor Fantasy Podcast. The link is in the bio. Or you can subscribe to Ridiculous Patronus on YouTube. Thanks, everyone. Have a magical week.